Another Friday and another JoeLumb movie review. I am JoeLumb. After reviewing The Howling last week, which redefined the genre of werewolf movies, by the way, this week I review a movie which redefined the vampire film genre in the 1987 film The Lost Boys. As always, when you're done watching this video, feel free to check out my previous movie review episodes. The movie review playlist link will appear at the start of this video. Subscribe to my channel, smash the like button, and click the notification bell. When you see a new video, you can just check it out yourself. The Lost Boys, a 1987 American comedy / horror film directed by Joel Schumacher, produced by Harvey Bernhard, with a screenplay written by Jeffrey Boehm, Janice Fisher, and James Jeremias. From a story by Fisher and Jeremias. The film's ensemble cast includes the two Coreys Heyman Feldman, Jamie Gertz, Jason Patric, Kiefer Sutherland, and Diane Weist. The film follows two teenage brothers who move with their divorced mother to the fictional town of Santa Carla, California, only to discover that the town is a haven for vampires. The title is a reference to the Lost Boys in J.M. Barrie's stories about Peter Pan and Neverland. Who, like vampires, never grow up. Most of the film was shot in Santa Cruz, California. On March 5th, 1985, Variety news item announced that the Independent Production Company Producers Sales Organization, or PSO, bought first-time screenwriters Janice Fisher and James Jeremias' Lost Boys script for $400,000 on February 20th of 1985. PSO announced their acquisition of the project at the American Film Market in 1985. Warner Brothers later joined the project, taking over domestic distribution and some foreign territories. The film's title is a reference to the characters featured in J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan stories, who, like vampires, never grow old. According to James Jeremias, I had read Anne Rice's interview with the vampire, and in that there was a 200-year-old vampire trapped in the body of a 12-year-old girl. Since Peter Pan had been one of his all-time favorite stories, he thought, what if the reason Peter Pan came out at night and never grew up and could fly because he was a vampire? Good point. The film was originally set to be directed by Richard Donner, and Fisher and Jeremias' screenplay was modeled on Donner's recent film The Goonies. In this way, the film was envisioned as more of a juvenile vampire adventure with 13 or 14-year-old vampires, while the Fogg brothers were chubby 8-year-old Cub Scouts, and the character of Star was a young boy. When Donner committed to other projects, Joel Schumacher was approached to direct the film, although Donner eventually received credit as an executive producer. He came up with the idea of making the film sexier and more adult, bringing in screenwriter Jeffrey Boehm to retool the script and raise the ages of the characters. Principal photography. Most of the film was shot in Santa Cruz, California, starting on June 2nd, 1986 and ending on June 23rd, 1986, after 21 days of filming. In the plot of the movie, the divorced mother of two boys, Lucy Emerson, along with their sons Michael and Sam, moved to a seaside town of Santa Carla, California to live with Lucy's father and the boy's grandfather. She takes a job at a video store owned by Max, who took a romantic interest in her. Sam meets Edgar and Alan at a local comic store. The Frog brothers are self-proclaimed vampire hunters who claim that the undead, aka vampires, have infested the town. Meanwhile, Michael becomes attracted to a beautiful girl named Star. There's only one problem. Michael notices that she's spending time with David, the charismatic leader of a local gang that includes Dwayne, Paul, and Marco. David senses Michael's interest in Star, so he challenges him to keep up with them on their motorcycles, leading him to their hideout. There, David seems to manipulate Michael's perception, making his food appear as maggots or worms, before offering him a bottle of red liquid. Despite Star's warning that it contains blood, he drinks it. The gang then lead him to a railway bridge where they hang on suspended over a vast drop. each of them eventually letting go and disappearing into the fog. Michael, unable to hold on, lets go and then falls, and he wakes up in his own bed. There was a change in Michael, becoming sensitive to light, finding normal food revolting, and notices his fading reflection. Michael becomes terrified that he's becoming a vampire after he nearly attacked Sam, but their dog Nook prevented that from happening. Sam has to save his older brother from becoming a vampire, but his transformation won't be complete unless he feeds on human blood. And it's possible that it can be reversed, but to do that, they must kill the head vampire. David and his gang push Michael into killing by revealing their true monster faces, as they end up killing a group of partygoers, but Michael resists. Star then confides in Michael that she and a youngster named Laddie have partly transformed and they refuse to kill. She confessed to him that David wanted her to kill him for her transformation to be complete. Michael is determined to save Star by enlisting Sam and the Frog Brothers to kill one of the vampires during the day while they slumber. Marco gets killed and David vows vengeance come nightfall. Then a battle ensues once David and the rest of his gang bust into Emerson's home. Paul and Dwayne get killed by the frogs and Sam, while David and Michael battled, and David ends up getting impaled with one of Grandpa's collection of antlers. Despite his death, Michael's transformation is still incomplete. But when Max and Lucy come home from their date, Max admits that he's the head vampire once he saw David's lifeless body. And just before he was about to strike, Grandpa crashes his truck through a wall, impaling Max with a large wooden fence post, causing him to explode, and as a result, Michael, Star, and Laddie are back to normal. End the movie. The Lost Boys was released in theaters on July 31st, 1987, and was a critical and commercial success. With a budget of $8.5 million to make, it grossed over $32 million at the box office. It has since then been described as a cult classic. 21 years after its release, the success of the film spawned a franchise with two low-budget sequels, Lost Boys: The Tribe and Lost Boys: The Thirst, and two comic book series as a result of it. The cultural impact of this film, The Lost Boys, has been credited with helping shift depictions of vampires in pop culture and bringing a more youthful, sexier appeal to the vampire genre. This inspired subsequent films like Buffy the Vampire Slayer in 1992. My overall rating for this film is an 8 out of 10. Prior to directing this movie, director Joel Schumacher directed another successful 80s movie, St. Elmo's Fire, in 1984. He would go on to direct two Batman films, Batman Forever in 95 and Batman and Robin in 97. The two Coreys, him and Feldman, would go on to star in multiple films for the next 2-3 years, with License to Drive in 88 and Dream a Little Dream in 1989. I saw this movie 20 years after its release, and I gotta be honest with you, it still holds up today than it did back in 1987. Kiefer Sutherland played one hell of a badass villain in David in this film. His acting chops landed him in films like Young Guns, Flatliners, A Few Good Men, to name a few. He also went on to star in the Fox television series 24, playing the role of Jack Bauer. And Alex Winter, one of the vampires in this film, would go on a few years later to co-star with Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.